the slide music later on, but right now, here's the kind I prefer.
What's up? This is your boy Styles here with WestCoastStyles.com on our YouTube channel, the OG WCR. And we've got a special guest in the house today. This guy's a genius in my book, extraordinary musician, producer. We've got Colin Wolfe in the house, and he's going to tell you his story. And man, we're just going to get into it. He's produced on The Chronic and several other classic albums, did the music. And man, I'm honored to have you here, brother. Man, thank you for joining us.
I couldn't even hear. The sound was going out again.
Oh, man. Okay, how about now? Can you hear me? Test.
Can you hear me, Colin?
No. It was fine a second ago. Better.
Okay. Man, thank you for joining us. We really appreciate you taking the time.
Let me put
man, I consider you a genius. Okay. I don't know why you've been having some problems lately.
Yeah. Let's see if that's better.
Test. Can you hear me, Styles?
I can hear you perfect.
Yeah.
We lost him for a minute. Just give us a second here.
June, what's been going on with this shit?
I don't know, man. This is not my original platform. I think you suggested this platform.
I know, but you never had these problems before.
Nah, never. They might be. We might have made it too popular. West Coast Styles might have broken the internet.
Well, are we live?
Now, hold on one second. Now, we are live. Definitely live.
Okay.
All right, here we go. One more time. Can you hear us, Colin?
Yep.
Yep, you got it.
Yeah. Sorry, everybody. Technical difficulties. StreamYard we must have broken the internet on our last interview and ran out of bandwidth or something. No, so we'll see what it is. But hopefully everything's good. Tim, Shad, take it away, buddies.
Cool. Go ahead, Styles.
All right, brother. Man, thank you for joining us, Colin. In my book, you're a genius, man.
Appreciate that.
You've created some magical stuff on my favorite albums, on the West Coast and in hip hop, So we're just gonna get into your story. Tell me about how you became a musician. Like, what was your upbringing? Like, how did you become what you are right now?
Man, that's crazy story. I mean, because when I was like 4 years old, my twin blind cousins in Santa Barbara used to babysit my brother and I, and they would get on the piano and the piccolo and the clarinet and like play different stuff for us. And they used to try to teach him stuff on the piano, and he wouldn't pick it up. And I would get on the piano and teach myself what they was trying to teach him. So just at a young age, whatever instrument I was around, I was able to just pick up and just learn and teach myself something. So
wow, so you're self-taught. Did you like get any training or anything, or
I mean,
all self-taught?
Mostly self-taught. I mean, like your orchestras in elementary school and junior high school and in high school. I mean, that's about it. But no like private lessons or anything like that. Started working professional gigs actually pretty early. The year of the 7th grade, a year after I started playing bass, I was already doing professional gigs. So was just able to pick things up just pretty quick.
What was your first professional gig?
Playing in musical plays. It was a summer program out here in LA. It was on Western and Pico. It was a summer program, it was dope. It was for the kids, and also adults were there too. And they had like acting classes all day and theater classes, and so like in the evenings we would do musical plays. I did a production of Fantastics, Little People, Grease, and one of them, in Little People, Malcolm Jamal Warner was in it.
Oh, wow.
And we also went to the same junior high school, Paul Revere.
Wow.
And
what was your?
and the Tate brothers were in it too.
Mm-hmm. Wow.
All the Tate brothers, four of them. There was like four of them that were in it.
Wow. So you you've had this upbringing where you're the plays and doing all this stuff. How did you get into the studio working with artists? Like, what was your first time in the studio?
I mean, that's hard to say, but everybody was doing their own little 4-track Tascam, 8-track Tascam things. So that was the start of it. And then some random studio gigs here and there. But the way I hooked up with Dre and them, I was playing. Somebody hired me to play a gig for them, and we were playing at the China Club. And after us, coming on was Jimmy Z, who Ruthless had just signed. So they were coming in to check in their artists. As I'm still on stage doing the solo, I see through these double doors is like Easy, Dre, Jerry Heller, L.A. Dre. All of them walked in when I was doing the solo. They were looking for a bass player to go on tour with Michal, and it was just perfect place, perfect timing. That typical story you hear, but you never know. The person who is done for. So there you go.
Right. Wow.
Yep.
Yeah.
So then I guess the first gig or the first thing was Fuck the Police Part 2.
Okay.
Yeah.
Part 2?
Yeah. Remember they did the second one on the 100 Miles Running EP?
Oh, that's right. That's right. Okay. Wow.
Yeah. And that was I got writing credit, I think, on the album, the Niggas for Life album, Real Niggas Don't Die. But yeah, one of the first major studio things was that record. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
Before your work with NWA, if I understand correctly, you weren't super familiar with hip hop. In a weird way, do you think that helped you create music for the genre since you didn't kind of have a preconceived notion of it?
Well, yeah, because I mean, all they did was listen to was records that I already knew. You know what I mean? Listen to all these soul records, so it was not really that unfamiliar to me because it was just about the grooves and the bass lines, really. The bass lines and the beats still kind of carry hip hop in a way, you know what I mean? Dope bass lines. So I've always listened to bass lines and studied bass lines. So it wasn't that unfamiliar to me in actuality because we were just listening to a lot of the records that I already knew. You know what I mean? So it was a easy transition for me. I mean, I was at UCLA, biochem major. You know what I mean? And Dre would come pick me up and take me to rehearsal with Michal, or sometimes down to the studio or something. So, but I was always doing music then. But I was mostly listening to like your Jaco Pastorius, your Stanley Clarke, your Nathan East. You know what I mean? All that kind of stuff.
Do you have a favorite bass player?
No, those are three of the top ones. I'll tell you that much. And then you got to throw in your Ron Carter, Charles Mingus, James Jamerson, John Paul Jones. There's a lot of them. I don't have one favorite. No, not at all. I like them all. They all bring something different, which I think is a great thing about music. I mean, everybody brings something different, and it's all dope. Bootsy, you know what I mean? There's so many dope bass players. A lot of them come from Ohio too. I tell you that much.
Yeah.
Some funky bass players in Ohio, dude. I don't know what it is. They got some funk out there, though, man. Wow.
Yeah, I like the guys from the Brothers Johnson. They play some really badass. Yeah.
But that Strawberry Letter 23 record, that was written by a kid that was up north, Shuggy Otis.
Shuggy Otis,
he was like, 18 years old when he did that album.
Wow.
If you listen to that whole album, it has such a dope vibe on it. It's a really, really cool ass record. And I actually had a chance to talk to his son, Lucky. Lucky's up there too. He's up north.
Wow.
Nice. Let's see. So when you were working with NWA and recording with them, Dre has a real reputation for being a real harsh critic when it comes to his beats. What was it like recording his vocals? Was he just as hard on himself with those as he is his instrumental?
Yeah, I mean, because a lot of the times, if he's doing the vocals, a lot of the times I was the one to record them. Mm-hmm. So, because he would engineer everybody else, but when he would go in to the booth, then I usually would record his vocals if somebody else wasn't in there, but usually I'd be the only one in there. So, but I got good at punching in, you know what I mean, and punching out, which is real important, especially when you go into 2-inch to tape, because it ain't like Pro Tools where you can just drag that thing back and get what you went over. If you went over some shit, you erased it. You got to redo it again. And it could have been a good take. So,
did Drake take a lot of takes?
No, not at all.
Okay, so you were pretty good when it came to the recording process then, like.
Oh yeah, and I was the same way with the bass lines, like 1 take, 2 take tops.
Wow.
Was how I used to get down back then, and so like I said, you're talking 2-inch, so you gotta play from top to bottom. Ain't no duplicating and all that stuff back then.
Sonically, did you know what you guys had with the Niggas for Life album? I mean, because to me, that album was way ahead of its time in terms of production.
No, we were just having fun, and we just had a good time. I mean, it was just like, we really had all we had to do really just go down to the studio every day and work on some music. So it was a really dope time. We would meet at the studio Monday through Friday at 12 o'clock noon. That was our hours, and then we'd leave until it's done. Some days it was just NWA, but most days it'd be NWA and then Jimmy Z, and then maybe somebody else after that. You know what I mean? So
yeah,
we was there literally Monday through Friday, every day at 12, and took 2 weekends off. So we were very dedicated and kept integrity of being there all the time and working on something.
The production on that album is so crisp and just, man, it's something else. The content on it is so cringeworthy. Yeah, and that's that kind of like took it back for me, is that you got songs like Find Them, Fuck Them, and Please, and it's kind of cringe, but the music is just so fucking awesome. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
They were ahead of its time, in my opinion.
Do you remember that song, Don't Matter, Just Don't Bite It? She swallowed it or whatever? Dude, so originally, that song had that Watermelon Man, Herbie Hancock sample on it. Oh, it was dope as hell. But then, so we sent it to Herbie, so he didn't have to approve it. He was like, hell no. So we had to redo the whole track. So that's what you hear now. But when you heard it with the Watermelon Man one, it was dope.
I wish I could hear that version, man. I know that's probably sitting in Dre's vault somewhere,
I don't know, because it was on tape, so he wouldn't have it. No, we would have it on cassette somewhere. Yeah, that's true. Yeah, it would be on cassette somewhere. That would be the only place.
Well, if you ever get that cassette, you feel free to,
I'm sure there has to be a version somewhere. I'm gonna have to hit him up about that.
Speaking of samples, I was a real nerd and still am when it comes to reading liner notes and everything. But the first time I noticed your name was when you played bass on Easy's "I'd Rather Fuck You," but it was obviously replaying Bootsy's "I'd Rather Be With You." That was crazy, man. As a fan, that blew me away.
And actually, Bootsy actually complimented me on that too. He's like, "Oh, you're the one that kept it funky." I'm like, "Yeah,
that was super funky."
Yep. That was fun doing that record. I remember that.
Yeah, what was it like watching Easy record? I mean, just he has such a charismatic personality, and just when I think of him on a record like that too.
Well, Easy. If I remember correctly on that one, it may have been Cocaine that wrote his verses on that. I can't remember. But Easy would definitely do his homework before he came to the studio. So once he come in, it didn't take him a long time. Not like the stories you heard before where they had to definitely do line for line. No, by this time, he had a demo of it and would study it. So by the time he came to the studio, it wouldn't take him too long.
Yeah. And he actually kind of sang on that song too.
Yeah.
So he kind of like had some melody on that.
Yeah, kind of let loose, you know what I mean? And I think that's what made that record so fun.
Yeah, that automobile song too.
Wow. Hey guys, I just gotta say, Colin, that I grew up on all of that stuff, man. All of that music, everything you guys have been talking about. I know I'm behind the scenes, and I usually don't do this and go in, but I grew up on all of that stuff, man. Like all the stuff you say you played and you were a part of. Yeah. That was literally my teenage years, brother. Like I gotta give it up to you, man. I just had to like interject real quick and say, like, man, that's amazing. I'm just incredibly blessed and thankful that you're here and you're blessing us with this interview, man.
Oh, likewise, man. Likewise. I mean,
let's get back to it. That's awesome.
Oh yeah, cool. You had mentioned Jimmy Z coming through the studio as well. Did you record his Musical Madness album kind of simultaneously with that second NWA album? Or
it was. Yeah, literally, it was in the evenings. We would do NWA till about 12 or till about 5 or something like that. Jimmy Z would come in and we work on Jimmy Z from about 6 or 7 until about 10 or 11 or maybe 12 midnight.
That's a cool album too, because it's definitely a little bit different than other Ruthless releases.
Way different.
Yeah, you guys must have known. Did you have apprehension about that at all, or were you just having fun?
Just having fun. Just having fun. Yeah.
Jumping back to Easy. Now he had started work on an album called Temporary Insanity, correct?
Yeah.
So how far did that kind of come to a halt when Dre left for Death Row, or
definitely. And yeah, it definitely came to a halt because there was like we just stopped going to the studio. The Niggas for Life album was done. We didn't like basically depart until that was done. Make sure that got done. But dude, Eazy-E lived right up the street from Dre, so they would see each other all the time afterwards. You know what I mean? Like Easy would drive by the house or whatever. He literally lived right up the street from Dre. So yeah.
Did you ever feel conflicted, like choosing? Hey, I gotta choose Dre or Easy. Since you
because my connection was with Dre, so I was with him all the time. So no, I didn't feel conflicted at all.
Yeah, I was curious, just as somebody who made Dre Day as well. Like not only the just being such a legendary diss song, but the video that went with it too. That was a big one.
Well, it wasn't Dre Day yet. When we were creating the music, we didn't know we were making that. We just made something dope, and then they wrote the song after we created the music.
So take us through.
I saw a video of you replaying some of your, replaying some of the chronic. Man, tell me, like, the process of recording, like, of creating that sound. Like, did Dre say, "Hey, play this," or did you just go and start playing it for him, and then he liked it?
Yeah, I would just play a groove, and I usually once I hear the beat, I usually would know we'll go right with it. So a lot of times it was my first initial idea that we will go with, and a lot of times I just basically be like, hear the beat for a second, be like, all right, let's hit record, and that's what will come out. That happened a lot of times, yeah.
Is that kind of what happened with Deep Cover too, or how did that?
Yep, that's definitely what happened with Deep Cover. I heard that Sly Stone beat, and then I just sat back for a second and was like, okay, let me do something crazy, something jazzy but crazy. I'm like a tritone. That's the craziest thing I could think of, and that's what it was. And yeah, just recorded it from top to bottom.
Because that came in right at the last minute. So, like, you guys turned that record in like the day before it was due, right?
The day before it was due, yeah. We're like, okay, I guess we gotta do this record now. We got to finish the song. So
what happened? You guys started the Chronic, and then like I'm guessing funds maybe ran out or something. You had to do something else to make some more money to finish funding it.
There was no funds. We were working on the Chronic album.
Oh,
we were just working on it. But Deep Cover was a way to bring in some funds. You know what I mean, to help keep it going. So we paused and then went back to that record. I mean, G Thing.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, we were living in the valley at that time, so 110 degrees sometimes out there in the valley. We had to redo G Thing 3 different times. One time, the tape got left in the car and melted. One time, I think it got erased over, so we had to re-record that record 3 different times.
Yeah, I heard that Snoop originally recited that. He originally kicked that rhyme over the phone or something, like to a different beat, or he wrote it to a different beat, didn't he?
I think he did. I remember him calling to the house one day. He spit it for me over the phone. I was like, damn. So yeah, it was dope.
The whole thing.
I think it was the whole thing, if I remember correctly.
Wow.
And
then
since we're talking about things,
he happened to be locked up at the time. That's why I said he called the house.
Since we're talking about G Thing, in the movie Straight Outta Compton, they showed Dre playing.
I know. That was.
How do you feel about that? Knowing that was you doing that, I mean, they could have put you in the movie doing that shit.
I know. I just smiled when I saw it. That's all I can do about that. They should have, but oh well. I mean, they even had Deep Cover in the movie. They could have had me in the background playing the bass or something.
Yeah,
And then I saw Harvey Mason sometime after that, and he was like, "Oh man, yeah, I've been trying to get in contact with something." He was saying, I was like, that's what's up, because I think he's the one who did all the music for it, Harvey Mason Jr.
Now you look back and say that, wow, like that album's in the Library of Congress.
I know.
What are your thoughts on that?
I mean, hella honored and humbled from that. I mean, that's an honor. I mean, just think that's part of history. You know what I mean? So that's like, to me, that's bigger than a Grammy or anything like that. That's like etched in the books for like forever. That's pretty honored by that. I tell you that much. Pretty honored by that.
It is one of the best produced albums of any genre, and that's a merit that will never be taken away from it. Hands down.
And I guess one of the reasons why they'll put something in the Library of Congress is the impact that it had on social, the social scene or whatever at that time or at that moment. The social impact. That's why they decided to put it in there, is because the impact it had on the society at that moment. So.
What I think it's important to recognize too, like now, I mean, everybody says the Chronic is a classic and a masterpiece, and it is. So, as cliche as it sounds, it doesn't make it any less true. But you still have to take it in context too, of like, listen to everything else that was out at that time. Like nothing sounded anything like it. And so light years ahead.
But I mean, and then if you listen to the record, and then if you remember what's going on during those times with the riots and all that, it was our soundtrack for that moment. You know what I mean? It was just, it's just perfect timing. And the energy from the riots and from that tension in the air, that went into the records too. You know what I mean? So that's what made that record to me so powerful, because all that energy that was LA was going through at that time went into those records.
Yeah. One song I do have to ask you about on that record is These Nuts. That was song when I first heard it, the power of the bass, and then the and it's like, and then Nate Dogg coming in. The first time I heard Nate Dogg,
can't be faded.
Please talk about that song, brother.
I mean, that was just,
Please tell me about that, the process of that song.
man, that was just in there just having fun. They gave me the beat, I did the bass line, and we start adding to it, and everybody just started putting their two pieces to it. And I mean, we had a stable of just artists and writers all coming together, all hungry, all with one goal and one thing in mind, and that's what made it all those records just so dope. I mean, you had all those great minds with no egos, you know what I mean, and everybody listening to each other, feeding off each other. It was just a great place to be at that moment. Nobody had a name yet, so everybody was just, everybody was humbled in there, and everybody was just listening to their mentors. They listening to DLC. You know what I mean? Pay attention to Dre and all that. So it was a good time. It was a good learning.
But I know that they must have. I know that they must have freaked when they heard that bass line, though. I mean, they must have like when they first heard it. That must have like really like been like, damn.
Oh yeah.
You know?
I mean, yeah. That it was like that for a few of them on Bitches Ain't Shit. I saw them. Daz and Dre was at the keyboard trying to do something, and then I was like, look out, y'all trying to do this, and they just grooved that whole thing right there. And I was like, watch out, I got another part. Did another part, and the music was done.
Damn.
Yeah.
Did you?
I wish I could have been there. Damn.
Fun times.
On the skits?
What's that?
Like the skits on the Chronic album? Like I'm just thinking of like the D's Nuts intro and
no, I was on the skit on the NWA record though. I think it was right before Appetite for Destruction. Now that I said it, you listen back and you'll hear it. You'll figure it out.
Okay,
You're gonna
I
start
like
laughing.
to hear that.
Because I think I did it on like the first take, and Ren and Dre and Doc was in the studio just busting up when I did it. Because I was straight into character.
Yeah.
It was hilarious.
Switching gears to another West Coast legend. What was it like recording Tupac?
Man, all you had to do is just hit record, and then he was freestyling a lot of that stuff. Actually, all the stuff I recorded with him for the MC Breed album, he was freestyling all of that.
Wow.
Freestyling, and he would hear it back one time and do his doubles and triples and all that. But yeah, he would just hear the music and then just go right with it.
That's crazy. And yeah, that Breed record too, you got to get mine. I mean, that's an all-time classic as well.
Yeah.
And I'm from Michigan, so I mean, Breed and Flint and all that.
Are you from Flint? Are you?
I'm actually from Grand Rapids.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I guess there's a documentary that's coming out about the whole Flint scene or whatever.
Yeah.
Right?
Mm-hmm.
Called something Breed and something, right?
Yeah, it's about. Right? I'm trying to blank on the name of him as well, but yeah.
Yeah, the other guy, right? Yeah.
Breed and Bootleg.
Yeah, exactly.
Let's see. So kind of switching. So then in the mid '90s, you went down to Atlanta and started working with like Dallas, Austin, and everything. What was that transition like? And what was it like when you work with somebody like like Organized Noise and Dr. Dre? Like, if you were to compare the two, just.
I mean, Organized Noise, those cats were dope because they would have somewhat of an idea or the notes for a bass line. I would hear the beat and just kind of, do my thing to it. They were dope though. I enjoyed working with them. And then working with Dallas, that's where I really learned how to songwrite. Because I was always good at helping coming up with the music and stuff. But always wanted to songwrite as well too. So just kind of learn the formula of songwriting, like how to make your verses and your pre-choruses and your hooks and your bridge. Because he had that down. You know what I mean? So really just learned a lot from him. And, I was fortunate to work with him on some, like some Monica records, some Sammy records, Michael Jackson, Madonna. So, and then a lot of people came down through DARP, like Eric Sermon, George Clinton. So was just able to just work with a lot of people that came through. Atlanta was the spot at that time in the 90s. Like early after, like, because once Outkast, Goody Mob, Tony Braxton, TLC, Usher, that was all Atlanta at that one time. Social Def, Crisscross, Escape, you know what I mean, The Brat. Atlanta had it jumping for a minute. And Atlanta has always been building up the sound with 95 South and all that stuff. And they were slowly, and they're still in the heat of it right now. You know, Atlanta's still the hot spot right now. So that's always been a good place. I was able to learn a lot from out there. Different from what I learned with Dre. I learned, you know, West Coast hip hop with Dre, and then learned like pop R&B out here with Dallas and all them. You know, so great learning experience and two great people to learn from. You know, two people at the top of their game for sure.
Now, was Drake cool with you, like just hopping off and going and working with other people, or was he like, "Hey, this is my guy," you know, or you know?
No, he didn't. He didn't. I mean, because like if you look at it, I mean, everybody left at one point, but I think everybody left when they were able to leave, safely at least. But everybody, you know, saw what was going on, and it may have been worse for people than it was for others. You know what I mean? So it was just, I mean, it was getting
You were
bad.
never in the contract, were you?
No, it wasn't under contract. I mean, you know, Dre was upset, but you know, he understood for sure. You know, he definitely understood.
Yeah, because that was probably like right around the time Death Row was kind of imploding and everything.
Oh, it was. I left Atlanta. I mean, I left LA before the album came out. It was finished, but it hadn't come out yet, and I didn't see the impact of it until I was in Atlanta. One time, I was on the corner with a friend of mine waiting for that stoplight. I was saying 8 out of the 10 cars that passed by us turning the corner was bumping the Chronic album. We both looked at each other like, damn, I guess that album did blow up. And then I had all these publishing companies coming after me, coming down to Atlanta, courting me and stuff. And so they found me. They all knew I was out there. But yeah, that album
What made you leave? What made you leave? What was the decision that made you say, you know, I'm out of here?
Well, I had MC Breed asked me to come to Atlanta to help him finish his album. And I also saw where one of the guys, I ain't gonna say no name, one of the guys at Death Row, how he treated the musicians, but then treated his boys, his friends, better. I'm like, okay, well, this ain't gonna work out too well for me. So when I got the opportunity to go out there with Breed, that's when the album came out, and that's when other people in the industry was looking for me. So right when I finished the Breed album, that's when I hooked up with Dallas and them, and just got right into it. So you know, there wasn't a whole lot of time to really just think about it. It's just a whole other thing to start it and just stay out there for 7 years after that.
Wow. Speaking of Dallas, he got you connected with Madonna and you working on her Bedtime Stories album, right?
Yeah.
What was that like?
That was mad cool. She would come out for 2 weeks at a time, and it was a similar thing to where we'll go to the studio Monday through Friday and work. Sometimes I get up in the morning with her, go jogging with her for like 4 miles or 6 miles or something, and then go hit up the studio. And she was quick with the writing. Like if she heard a beat that she liked or an idea that we were starting that she liked, she'd be like, cool, you guys, you know, keep working on that one. By the time we had it in a good place, she was done with the lyrics and stuff and would come up and lay a scratch. So she was great with it. So we worked that for 2 weeks. Then she left for a little bit and then she came back and like finished like overdubs and stuff like that. So she was real dope, real professional, real quick like, and knew she wanted. It was an honor working with her. She was dope.
I mean, you're no stranger to controversy given your work with NWA, but did you feel any? I mean, Madonna obviously had a lot of controversy at that time, coming off the heels of her erotica album and her sex book. What was there a lot of pandemonium and craziness?
Oh no, because it was just us. There
Okay.
was like, you know what I mean? Like, there wasn't a whole lot of people that knew she was going to be there, first off. And I think she only came with an assistant. Maybe her sister will come in and out because the sister sang some background. But no, there was no paparazzi or anything at the time. They definitely did. No, there was no paparazzi at that moment. Like, paparazzi wasn't really a thing yet. So no, there was a lot of people knowing that she was around. It was real chill. It was real chill. So no, it was just real cool. We were just all just chilling and just doing what we love, all of us. So nah, there was no expectations on what we should come up with. She liked something and we would grow with it and just kept it moving. She wasn't trying to like outdo any of her other records and nothing like that. She was just
That's
moving
what I was
forward.
curious about. Yeah, and that's really cool too that like it reached #1 on the iTunes store in April 2020 this year. There was like a grassroots campaign, and so it's cool to see that album is finding a new audience today.
I know, that's dope. That's dope. I didn't even realize that. I didn't even know.
Yeah, it was something they did kind of when the pandemic started, like an old Mariah Carey album, an old Janet Jackson album, and an old Madonna album kind of had a bit of a resurgence.
Wow. Yeah, but look at that old Fleetwood Mac song that's been killing it lately.
Yeah.
God. Wow. And then once you saw it on that one video that one guy did, like they made a campaign. They did a whole campaign with it.
Yeah,
so they fucking blew it up again. From what I hear, that guy was living in the RV. After that thing came out, he was able to buy a house for like $300-something thousand, and he paid it cash.
Yeah, I just saw him on a commercial with Snoop.
Yeah.
Yeah, they're doing like some home security type thing, It's like, wow.
Yeah, exactly.
Before we get back to hip hop, what was it like with Michal Jackson and that this time around?
That was fun because he had in LA, he probably had 4 or 5 different whole studios booked out. And we happened to be working in the one that he was working at, was actually the studio Dre bought after a while, which is called Record One on Ventura Boulevard. So he'd be there all the time. We'd be there all the time. He'd be there all the time. He was always there working on something. He would come, joke around a couple of times, but he was just always on his stuff. He was there. He would show us little ideas he was working on, besides music. But he was dope. He was really, really cool.
That's cool.
Yeah.
Another West Coast legend, and notice you've worked with a lot of them, and I want everybody watching and listening to take note of that as well.
Too Short.
Too Short. Yep. Short Dog.
Dude, hooked up with him in a place called Oakland City in Atlanta. Yeah, he had the studio out there. I'm pretty sure I must have met him through Breed, but yeah, I worked on the album number 10 album and again an N album, which was before that, I believe.
Yeah, let me think. Yeah, Getting Where You Fit In was before the album number 10. I do have a question about album number 10. Well, first of all, Nasty Rhymes is one of my favorite albums. I think it personifies Too Short perfectly.
Oh, for sure.
But when he said he was retiring after that album, did you believe him?
Nobody did. I mean, when you just have it, down the way he did, there's no need to retire. You know what I mean? He had the system down, and he knew how to put out records and make them happen. It definitely made for a good story. I'll tell you that much.
Yeah. He must have been one of the first, if not the first person to do that.
Yeah.
He's always struck me as someone that has a real keen ear for musicianship and everything too. A lot of his records are very funky and very musically driven more so
He
than
knows what he likes. He knows what he likes for sure. Because I recorded for the album number 10, I recorded a bunch of different like bass lines and beats. He must have called me up 2 months later, but man, we've been looking for you. We got some money for you. We used some of your tracks on this record. So he tracked me down, paid me the money, gave me my credit. You know what I mean? And he's one of those honest cats. You know what I mean? There's not too many people like that. They wouldn't have said nothing.
Yeah. Now that you bring up that topic, I want to ask you about credit. How do you feel about that situation? Do you feel you should have gotten more credit for some of the records that you've worked on?
No, on the Chronic album, I was a co-writer. You know what I mean? I definitely got my writing credit for that. That's for sure. On the other records, I got my production credit, got my writing credits. I've always gotten what I put in for sure. I've been one of the lucky ones, where I would get my credit. I know a lot of people haven't or didn't or don't. You know what I mean? And luckily, at the time when Dre had always been fair about that way back then, and he wasn't working with a whole lot of people, so he was even starting back in those NWA records. If I had writing credit, he would give it to me. He wouldn't hesitate about that. You know what I mean? Like he knew what was up with that, and never had to question him twice about that.
That's great.
Yeah.
Speaking of West Coast and Too Short, with this new super group he's put together, are you contributing to any of that at all?
We'll see. No telling, because I know each one of those camps have producers that they work with all the time. So we'll see. I mean, I talk to Short every once in a while. We'll see. Maybe if I connect with them, that would be dope. But we'll see. I haven't been doing a whole lot of hip hop lately. But working on a bunch of different stuff, a lot of rock music and stuff. Hip hop is just taking so many different turns lately. So who knows where it's headed?
Yeah.
Hopefully for the better. We'll see. I think there's gonna be some dope stuff coming out. Buster stuff is supposed to be dope. Goody Mob stuff. And I'm sure there's some dope stuff coming out. That's for sure.
So how did you reconnect with Dre for?
If Dre ever said, "Hey," oh, go ahead.
Oh no! So
go ahead,
how did you reconnect with Dre for 2001?
They contacted me and flew me out to Phoenix where they were working.
What did you think of his Dr. Dre Presents the Aftermath album? Just in the sense that it was a little more, obviously, it was a little more than just hip hop. And what was your take on all that?
I liked it. I mean, I've always been a fan of Dre's. I like his stuff. I know some people didn't really care for it so much, but I liked it. I've always liked his stuff. So maybe a bias when it comes to that, because I've been around him for a long time and learned a lot from him. So I thought it was cool. I liked it.
Yeah, I thought it was a solid effort.
Yeah,
it wasn't what people were used to.
For sure.
Almost kind of like the Jimmy Z.
Yeah.
To me, I was let down. I was let down when it came out because I was so used to the Chronic.
Right.
And that funk and that bass and that bass line shit. and that was absent from it.
Everybody compares it to that album.
So as a fan, I was like, damn it, So
right.
That's my take on it. I can listen to it and be like, all right, this is cool. But I wanted that boom, 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 that
right.
Shit,
No doubt.
And then the synthesizers, the Moog and all that, I wanted all that shit. And
no doubt. No doubt.
So anyway, that's my take on it. So.
I forgot about Dre from 2000. That was originally for somebody else.
Yeah. That was for Don, I believe, right?
Yeah, I think, yeah. I think that's what I came. That was originally for Don Robinson.
Yeah.
I just think it's crazy too. I mean, it must have been a perfect match. Because it's my understanding too that M wrote the lyrics to that to Jay's "Nigga What Nigga Who" beat. And so the fact that he was able to blend, I mean, that did you have to tweak the track at all or anything, or did they just?
No, I don't think they did. By that time, I had flown back to Atlanta. So how they tweaked the stuff after that, I don't even know.
That's kind of a good segue into my next. So it's kind of the same thing with Explosive, too, because I was originally for King T.
Yep, that we were in Phoenix doing that stuff. Yep.
Did you hear that finished product? What'd you think? What'd you think of that?
I don't know if I heard the finished product, but I definitely heard what King T did there at the time, because he definitely did lay a verse down when we were out there, and I liked it. I thought it was dope. But definitely not mad at the final product.
Yeah. You know? Did you communicate with Dre at all when he was working with Burt Bacharach?
I think I ran into him because I used to go out to his gym. He had a gym out in the valley, and I used to go out there. He told me he was doing that, but
I thought that was really cool. Again, just kind of similar to the Presents the Aftermath. Just kind of expanding beyond hip hop a little bit.
Yeah, I think that's great. You know.
Yeah, and then with your musicianship, I was just like, oh, I'm sure he would appreciate or recognize that. And Burt Bacharach, of course, is a legend as well.
Yep.
What was it like? And obviously, as we now know, Detox never did see the light of day. Did you ever? What were those sessions like, or did you participate in any of those?
I wasn't. No, I was in Atlanta still.
Okay.
Just getting ready to come back. I was out in Atlanta from 92 to 99.
Okay.
Yeah.
So did you work on the Compton album at all either?
No.
Okay.
Didn't work on that one. I thought that album was dope too. Thought it had some dope stuff on there.
Yeah. Dre definitely has
that album again was missing a lot of that bass line stuff. And so I kind of like I listened to it and I was like, all right, this song's cool. That song's cool, but it just didn't hit home with me, man.
No, I feel you.
Sorry.
I feel it did have a couple of 808 things. It didn't necessarily have the driving bass lines that you're used to with them. I'll give you that much.
Yeah.
It definitely had its moments though.
For sure.
So you alluded to this a little bit earlier. So what are you working on now? You said you're doing some stuff with rock music and
a couple of different projects, just in the studio writing, all kinds of different things. Not necessarily just rock, but just all kinds of different stuff. So, I mean, not much else to do during this pandemic. So just stay in the studio creating, keeping it moving.
One time you had written a script too.
Are you in a band at all?
Was that?
Sorry.
Go ahead, Styles.
Are you in a band at all?
Yeah, in a band now. Called Sound.
Okay.
So that's one of the rock projects I'm working on.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
And then the other, this is jumping back in time a little bit, but I know one thing that you had worked on at one time, you'd written a script or something, right?
Well, me, Dre, and this dude, Ben Bazemore, wrote a script way back in the day, and it never went anywhere. We gave it to a producer friend of ours. He liked it, but it didn't go anywhere from there.
Is that anything you'd ever pursue again, just as far as a creative outlet?
Maybe so, because I definitely did enjoy it, and I love movies to death. I watch all kinds of movies. I love older movies like your Humphrey Bogart movies and Audrey Hepburns and stuff like that. Movies from the 40s and 50s and stuff. I love filmmaking. I'm intrigued by that as well.
Did you hear about how Warner Brothers is releasing all of their movies for 2021 on HBO Max now?
Yeah, I did hear that. That's gonna be dope.
Yeah.
I mean, movie making back then was great. Like, you see those big old sets that they have and stuff, and some of the costumes, like, they would have their actors get with a certain clothing designer and have that designer be with that actress and kind of create dresses or whatever for that movie, and it was just really, really dope. They did that with Audrey Hepburn. I think in that movie she did called Sabrina. I think she did it in that one. And
Mhm.
some famous clothing designer she got with, and she picked out all these certain dresses, and it was dope. It was. I think filmmaking was phenomenal back then. I like that era for sure.
Wonderful.
Okay. I know that you've been working with rock like that, but like an artist I know named Glasses Malone told me that he just wanted to pick your brain for music and just be like, man, he's talked to me personally, like, man, I want to pick this guy's brain and learn, like, the skills of musicianship. Have artists like that reached out to you? Okay, you know what, man, what's the formula?
I mean, I would definitely talk to him about it. I mean, it's hard to really say what the formula is.
Mhm.
It's just a funky bass line. That's what it comes down to. I mean, and there's
Yeah.
funky bass lines in all genres of music. You recognize the funky bass line when you hear it, whether it's rock, funk, soul, or whatever. You know what I mean? Like when you hear that one bass line, you're like, oh, that's it right there.
No doubt.
Yeah. I think a lot of hip hop is missing that. You know? It's
Lately,
yeah.
yeah.
There's
Lately,
a lot of bass.
there's a lot of bottom.
It's
Put
just
it
an
that
808
way.
bass.
Yeah, it's bottom. It's
Yeah,
just bottom.
yeah.
Exactly. No bass line. You're right. You're right.
Yeah, man. When it comes to bass lines, I mean,
Wow.
as far as bass, if Death Row is Motown, you are James Jamestown.
Appreciate that.
So
Appreciate that.
it has been a real honor and a pleasure. Is there anything else?
Likewise.
Is there anything else you want to add or comment on? I know we covered a lot of ground and talked about a lot of things. And
No, I mean, I just said, appreciate being recognized and recognized, and big ups to you guys and holding it down, and showing the guys some love and keeping the whole live music era alive. And like you said, not all that 808 stuff that's missing bass line. So let's bring that back. That's for sure.
no doubt. Well, before we go, if you would please do us the honor and give West Coast Styles a drop, that would be awesome.
Yes.
So big ups to West Coast Styles, keeping it live in 2020, heading over to 2021. Yes. Let's keep it moving.
Thank you very much.
No doubt.
Well, it has been a pleasure and an honor, and thank you so much.
Likewise.
And anytime you or got some new stuff, let us know, and we will gladly do this again.
No doubt.
Thank you very much, guys. Thank you.
Keep it moving.
It was amazing. Thank you.
Yeah.
All right.
See you guys.
All right, guys.
What time is it? Okay, we have some fabulous live music later on, but right now, here's the kind I prefer.